Not even his $500 billion can save him from death. Ha ha ha. He was so proud and almighty, with all the hot girls flicking around him. But look at the idiot now. He can't even walk, so disgusting. They gossiped loudly, not caring if he heard them or not. From the hottest billionaire in the country to a fucking cripple. Ha ha ha. Laughter echoed through the grand hall of Adrian Vance's mansion. It was a cruel, hollow sound, one that cut through his fragile heart like a knife. He sat there, slumped in his wheelchair, his body weakened from months of illness, while the people he once called friends whispered and smirked behind their champagne glasses. Look at him, Daniel, his closest business associate, sneered. The mighty Adrian Vance, reduced to a pathetic, dying man. Who would have thought? His supermodel girlfriend, Celeste, perched on the edge of the silk-covered sofa, crossing her long legs with an expression of forced pity. It's so sad, really. He was once so virile. She sighed dramatically, taking a sip of her martini. Now, he's just a corpse waiting to happen. The room erupted into soft chuckles. Adrian clenched his fists on the armrests of his wheelchair, his nails digging into the leather. They weren't even hiding it anymore. These people, his so-called friends, the ones who had partied with him, celebrated his success, and toasted to his empire, they had already moved on. They were treating him like he was already in the grave. I heard he has no heirs, one of the men whispered. All that wealth, and it's just going to vanish when he dies. Celeste laughed, twirling a strand of her golden hair. Oh, don't worry. His lawyers are making sure it goes to charity or something. He never really had anyone who cared about him. The words hit him like a slap. Never had anyone. After everything, was that what they truly believed? Adrian swallowed hard, his throat tightening. Maybe they were right. His parents had died years ago. He had no siblings, no close relatives. And now, the people he had once trusted were nothing but leeches, draining what little life he had left. Adrian pushed his wheelchair back with a loud scrape against the marble floor, silencing the murmurs. The room went still. I think I've had enough entertainment for the night, he said coldly, his voice sharp despite his weakened body. Celeste raised a perfectly shaped brow. Adrian, don't be so sensitive. He met her gaze, his emerald eyes dark with something unreadable. Get out. Her lips parted, as if she was about to protest, but one look at his expression made her smirk instead. Fine. She stood, grabbing her designer clutch. I was getting bored anyway. With a flick of her hair, she sauntered away. One by one, the others followed. And just like that, Adrian Vance was alone. Or so he thought. Soft footsteps echoed through the empty mansion. Elena Moore entered the room, her gentle eyes filled with something no one else had shown him, concern. She had heard everything. Every cruel word. Every mocking laugh. But she said nothing. Instead, she walked toward him, adjusting the blanket on his lap, her touch soft and careful. He let out a humorless chuckle. You should have left with them. She looked at him, her expression unwavering. I would never. His throat tightened. Why? Why was she still here? A desperate proposition. Days passed in suffocating silence. Adrian barely spoke. He spent most of his time staring out at the city skyline, wondering what the point of it all was. But then, an idea took root in his mind. One evening, as Elena finished cleaning his study, he called her name. She turned, her dark curls falling over her shoulders. Yes, sir? His fingers curled against the armrest. I need you to have my child. The words hung heavy in the air. Elena's eyes widened. What? I don't have much time left, he continued, his voice rough. I have no family, no one to carry my name. I refuse to let my legacy die with me. She took a step back, shaking her head. You can't be serious. I am. His gaze was unwavering. I want you to be the mother of my heir. Elena's breath hitched. This was madness. She was just a maid. A nobody. And yet, there was something in his voice. Something desperate. Something that made her heart ache. She should have said no. But instead, she whispered, "What do you expect from me?" His jaw tightened. "I expect you to give me a child. Nothing more." She exhaled sharply, her mind spinning. "And what if I say no?" A shadow crossed his face. "Then I'll die alone." The words were like a dagger to her chest. She closed her eyes. And when she opened them, she made a choice. "I'll do it." It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It was just an agreement. But when Adrian pulled her into his arms that night, everything changed. She had expected hesitation, caution, a reminder that he was sick. But the moment their lips met, fire ignited between them. His hands, strong despite his illness, gripped her waist, pulling her onto his lap. Elena gasped as he trailed hot, open-mouthed kisses down her neck, his breath ragged. "You're beautiful," he murmured against her skin, his voice raw. Her fingers tangled in his hair, tilting her head back as he explored her body with a hunger she never expected from a dying man. She felt the need in him, the desperation, the longing, the desire to feel alive again. And God, she wanted him too. Their clothes fell away, forgotten. His hands worshipped her, tracing every curve, every inch of bare skin, memorizing her like a dying man savoring his last pleasure. And when he entered her, it wasn't just about fulfilling an agreement. It was about something deeper. Something neither of them dared to name. They moved together in a slow, sensual rhythm, their bodies entwined, their breaths mingling in the dim candlelight. His fingers dug into her hips as he whispered her name like a prayer. And when release finally came, it was shattering. Not just for their bodies, but for their hearts. Weeks passed, and Elena's body changed. She was carrying his child. But something else happened. Adrian, the man who had been given 6 months to live, started getting stronger. His doctor was speechless. The cancer that had been spreading aggressively slowed. Then, against all odds, it began to disappear. The man who was supposed to die was healing. And with every passing day, he realized something else. He didn't just want an heir. He wanted her. One evening, as they sat on the balcony, Adrian reached for her hand. "Elena," he whispered. She turned to him, her brown eyes searching his. "I don't want you to just be the mother of my child." His voice was rough, filled with emotion. "I want you to be my wife." Her breath caught. "I love you," he admitted, his fingers tightening around hers. "I don't want to just survive. I want to live. With you." Tears welled in her eyes. "Adrian." He cupped her face, brushing a thumb over her cheek. "Tell me you feel the same." A tear slipped down her cheek. "I do," she whispered. "I love you." And when he kissed her, it wasn't desperate. It wasn't about survival. It was about forever. Moral of the story: wealth can buy many things. But it cannot buy love. And in the end, love was the only thing that saved Adrian Vance.